Welcome back to Kind of Funny's The Mandalorian in Review. That's right, we are reviewing every single episode of the first season of The Mandalorian on Disney+. I'm Tim Gettys. We got Andy Cortez. We got Big Kev Dog. We got Greg Miller. We got Nick Scarpino. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
It's been a while.
It has. It's been forever since we've sat in these chairs and
Glad
reviewed
we
an
dressed in
episode
the
or
same
something.
exact outfits to talk
Yeah.
about this.
We're doing that
Continuity.
from now on.
Continuity.
We're doing that
Again,
from now on.
last week we got to see all 3 of the first episodes of The Mandalorian in a movie theater, which was really, really cool. So we are pre-recording our episode 3 so that it can actually go out when everybody watches it on Friday because we're considerate.
Oh, we talked about the music last week.
Yeah.
And by last week, I mean 5 minutes ago when we filmed episode 2. I want to give a shout out to Poe. Who's one of my deep personal friends growing up. You guys haven't met him yet, but we saw the show with him. And when he saw Carl Weathers, he was like, "Is that Apollo Creed?" I'm like, "It is Apollo Creed," but I like to think of him as Action Jackson, which is a series that he should have picked up for him, which did not, starring him in Vanity. Great movie.
Can't wait to see how this gets to the music.
But what's
Yeah.
interesting is he goes, "Wait a minute, that's the guy from Rocky, right?" And he goes, "Do you think when they had that guy in, because there's a cue in the music that sounds like Rocky?" He goes, "Do you think they did that on purpose?" And I'm like,
Holy shit, it does.
Fuck, it does.
No, the
I was like, maybe they did. Maybe the music that was like Carl Weathers, big fan, Rocky. Let's throw a little bit of that in there.
Okay.
And it makes you think of like this guy's an underdog. He's going to be a champ one day. He's
Whoa.
going to have what it takes. But I mean, is it illegal to box with a full metal helmet on? Yeah, it's going to break someone's hands. Yeah. Mandalorians don't care. They don't
care.
play by your rules.
They don't.
Such
They don't
is
at
our
all.
Code.
Such is our code.
Such is our code.
This is the way.
This is our code.
This is our code.
What did I do?
Andy, you brought up something really cool right before the show about Spotify.
Yeah, Spotify for every episode has a different soundtrack. So I looked up Mandalorian on Spotify and I saw what I did. But I was like, why am I not seeing these songs? And then I saw there's a chapter 2 available as well. So you could listen to every episode sort of, this is the score for this whole episode. Really cool.
So rad. And also, we didn't talk about it last episode. I love that they keep going with the end credit.
Yeah, awesome.
The concept art.
What
Oh,
a
God.
what a completely like needless but awesome thing to include in there.
Reminds
like
you of
they
Ruby.
did not need to do that, and
Yeah.
and it was probably at an extraordinary expense to them that I wish they may have taken and put into some of the visual effects. But I don't care because I want.
Wait, why do you think it was an expense then?
I mean, they had to hire an artist to
No,
do
it's
that,
all
right?
concepts.
No, yeah.
Exactly. They said during the
own-
Q&A that Andy didn't come to.
I was there.
No. They said that was actually that's stuff that they had already.
Oh, wow.
The
Okay.
concept art from the
I
thing.
stand
when Pedro
corrected.
Pasquale's
Pedro
when
Pascal.
the heir to the Pasquale's pizza fortune here and stuff.
Yeah.
When he went there,
One
they-
shot.
that was
they
what
got.
was on the walls. He
Not
got
much
to
of a
go
fortune. They owe $50K.
You really say one shot?
One shot, Pasquale's.
Dude, you're such a fake Barry.
How many do they have?
Go explore, man.
Come
Go
here,
to
come
the
here, real
zoo,
Barry
dude.
kids. Get out of here, not you.
Tim, I looked into it. Title also has all the chapters.
There you go,
There
Cool
it
Greg.
is, Cool
Okay,
Greg.
yeah,
Good for
it
you.
is on title as well. Oh, speaking of
Cool,
titles,
Greg, can you believe this guy thought there was only one Pasquale's?
Cool Jeezy. I mean, it's no senoras. That's all I'm saying.
it is No Senores. Chapter
Yeah.
3, The Sin,
Sin.
is the name of this one.
What a good name.
Great
Freaking
name,
cool.
great episode.
Released on November 22nd.
How much did it gross? What was its budget?
2019. I don't know, and there's a
10
lot of
million
info we don't have
subscribers.
because we saw the screening. I don't know the runtime of it, but it felt longer than the
It
32
did feel.
minutes of
It's
episode 2.
surprising that the other one was only 32 minutes. I could have swore it was going to be a little bit. Like,
That's-
it was longer.
maybe
that's
they
a
should-
little
I think
short.
that one, like, that's exactly how much I thought it was, around 30 minutes. And then I think this one's around 42 minutes.
Okay, yeah, because
Yeah.
episode 1 was 39. What you got for me, Andy?
I was gonna say, like, let's not count our chickens before the eggs hatch, guys. What if the show gets canceled and this doesn't even go up, right? Like, nobody's gonna know about this.
Yeah, we might have the exclusive info. This might be the only
You know?
way.
That's a great point.
You think
Tomorrow
this is the
Disney,
way?
they plug the
You
pull.
are so
They
fucking
plug-
They
stupid.
plugged the pull.
Did I get kicked by a mule this morning? I
don't know, man.
It all
You
sounds
are
right up
backward.
here, and it's been multiple things today that have just not done.
What was it? Andrew Dice, Howard Bryce. It was
Dice Brallis Howard.
Jeez Louise.
I didn't know that Ron Howard was her
Dad.
dad.
Which is so
Blew my mind.
interesting.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, redhead Howard, but like, I'd be, racist.
Well,
to be
it's not like Ron Howard has been in the news in the past 20 years that you're like you would have been aware of who his children are. He's directed like one movie.
Yeah, I was
going
gonna
to
say he did Apollo 13. He's like,
Solo.
see you
That
guys
was it.
later.
And then they were like, they brought him back out of retirement for Solo, and he was like, I don't want this. And Kathleen Kennedy
don't
was like,
want this.
bury him
Nobody
in money.
wants this.
Bury him in money. He's like, oh, all right, fine, I'll save it.
Released
I'll
November
save it, okay.
22nd, 2019. Directed by Deborah Chow. Deborah Chow is a Canadian filmmaker, television director, and screenwriter. Two of her first short films, Day Pass and The Hill, have have both won awards at various international film festivals. She's best known for her first feature film, which she wrote and directed, The High Cost of Living. Her recent directorial works include the TV movie adaptation of Flowers in the Attic and episodes of the series Copper, Murdoch Mysteries, Beauty and the Beast, and Mr. Robot. Chow is also director on Mandalorian, this one, and the untitled Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
Oh.
She had a really cool thing she did say in the Q&A before we saw these movies, where she was talking
Thanks
about
for
how
calling,
God, Andy, wake up.
It's available online. You
was
can watch
upstairs.
those.
Andy, watch the whole thing. No, but what I liked about it was she was like, it was interesting that Jon Favreau, who is kind of the Kevin Feige of this group, wanted all the directors to talk to each other. She was like, most of the time your ship's passing in the night when you're directing something like this. And it reminds me of when the directors would talk about Game of Thrones, where they would have to coordinate with each other because they would have to figure out like everyone had to be on the same page visually and like what was going on with the scripts and where the actors were emotionally. And so I think it's interesting that they chose to do that instead of having them just be like, here's your script, go do this. It shows to me that someone higher up that's looking over the whole series really cares. And I think that's
And again,
Jon
written
Favreau.
by Jon Favreau. So
I saw a tweet.
3 for 3 right now.
It's also interesting that they didn't go to normal, like your go-to directors for these things. Like Dave Filoni, I think makes sense because he's sort of like the godfather of a lot of the episodic
animation side
stuff. But it's interesting that they're going with people that like the guy that directed last week's episode who did Dope. It reminds me of when they randomly grabbed these two guys called the Russo brothers and were like, they've done films you've never heard of,
And
but
Community.
but they have a really cool
Rest of
style.
them.
Yeah, they have a really cool style that we think will apply to this, and it really I think it works out.
To go back to episode 2, Rick Famuyiwa, I saw a tweet from our friend Woody Jang who says that that's the first person of color that has ever directed a live-action Star Wars piece, which is really cool. Yeah.
I mean, there's not too many live-action Star Wars pieces out there, but it's cool. Like Dave Filoni directing this first one, that's a really, really big deal that I think we're going to see a lot more of in the coming future. Not this season, but more in the future. Jon Favreau didn't direct a single episode this season.
Did he write all of them?
Not all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, but so far he has. Yeah. To do something a little bit different because we couldn't rewatch this. What happened this episode? Who wants to go for it, Greg?
Oh, I was just doing,
Oh,
I was doing
okay.
some Jedi
Oh,
Mind stuff.
I
I
thought
was
you
taking
were
myself
gonna-
back.
I thought you were
We
gonna
come
pull
back
out.
to the planet, man. We got to go back there. We got what I like to call Yoda and an egg. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You ever have one of those
Yodelini?
delicious eggs
Yodelini.
that smokes the meat? That's what this is. We're smoking a Yoda. You know what I mean? He's in there. He's percolating. He's 50 years old, just bopping around in there. He takes the thing off. Did he already take the ball off the thing? Is that
I
this
spoiled
episode?
that last
Yeah,
week. Sorry.
you did.
Yeah.
This is the beginning
so he
of
takes
this
the
week. He takes
ball off.
the
It's
ball
very adorable.
It
And
is.
the Mandalorian's like, "Shut your mouth!" And they come in and they fucking land right. And Mandalorian's like, "Cool, got this fucking egg, dude." Right? And he's like, "I'm gonna take him back over there." So
Want
he
my
takes
money.
him back over there. And Hans Moleman, of course, is all like,
Were-
"I'm
were
a
you
great
guys-
actor. Hello, thank you."
Quick question though: were you guys surprised when he actually went right back to the like to give up the bounty?
I mean, that's cool, and I feel like that's what this episode's kind of
Hinges
thrust
on,
is,
yeah,
right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. But I mean, just when that moment, like he's there sitting at the table, I was like, oh shit! All right, I guess this is just going down. And then it goes
Because we
down.
know there's going to be that internal
Yeah.
struggle. We've
Sure,
already
sure.
seen it, right? He's an orphan. He's a kid. He's somebody who has just
can
had no
relate.
parents and stuff. Exactly. Who can relate?
Also,
Who can
let me
relate?
tell you, someone gives you a paint bucket, a cheap-looking paint bucket full of your most valuable
Yep.
ore.
Hey, this
you're gonna
metal
take
you've been
that
searching
thing.
your whole fucking life for. You've only got one helmet, one shoulder piece. You look terrible.
Yeah,
You know what I
janky
mean?
boy.
This is the kind of crap when you have this in a video game. You equip it, and you're like, "Ooh, this looks bad. I'll
shit.
save it till I have the entire armor set." You know, he's finally here. You go. This weird little igloo cooler opens up full of these fucking things, and he's like stoked. But it's also like, "Hey, what are you about to do?"
Yeah,
with
I love.
the child.
I like that moment, right, where he's like, he asks, he's like, "What are you gonna do with the kid?" And
Hans Moleman is all like, "Don't
Stop
do
just
that.
making up random German
It's Werner Herzog.
Oh, it's so easy.
His response was so cool.
he's like,
like,
"That's not
isn't it
normally-
your code not to ask
ask
this
Yeah.
shit?"
That was
And
cool.
It's like, oh,
Mandalorian's like,
oh.
"Fuck, you got me, Hermer."
And you know, and you
Volkswagen.
like right at that moment, you know that at some point he's coming back.
Oh, yeah.
But shout out to him
course
for
he is.
taking for having zero honor and taking the payment anyway, and then coming back and murking everyone in there.
But by the
the
way-
way, I love that we saw 4 stormtroopers, but when he goes back in there, there's like
20.
1,500 stormtroopers, and he just keeps blowing away.
This is like I think the most video game a TV show has ever been. You know, the fetch
Oh, when he
quest,
upgrades
turning
his
in the
armor?
quest,
Oh, yeah.
taking the ore, going
Totally.
back and
I
Totally
loved it.
everything.
I loved
like
it.
it's so gamified, but seeing him walk into the cantina again And the
Just
crowd there,
flexing.
full of Star Wars fans, by the way. But the crowd, when he walks in, it was like, "Oh shit, this guy upgraded, dude!" And it looks awesome. It looks
Not
really
only was
cool.
our crowd full of Star Wars fans, but I didn't know there was a certain subsect of Star Wars fans that were Mandalorians that all dressed like Hell's Angels.
Yup.
Did you notice that?
Oh, yeah.
And I was like,
all
I walked
had
out, I was like-
helmets?
I was
Jen
like,
got
why are there
super
so many
obsessed, and on the
bikers?
ride home was on their website reading about because she's like, I want that jacket. They all had like cuts like Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
They had I forget
Biker
what they're
jackets.
exactly called, the Mandalorian.
One of the
whatever
guys
gang.
knew me. Like one of the guys has watched our show before.
Oh, sure,
I don't know if
yeah.
he walked up to you and said hi or anything like that. But he-
Somebody came, but I thought he was from
But it
Star
wasn't-
Wars,
yeah,
not
it
from the
wasn't from
Mandalorian.
oh, okay,
crew or
gotcha.
whatever they were called.
Interesting.
There's a couple touches in this episode that kind of took me out of it. One was when the stormtroopers turned on their flashlights. I was like, what the fuck is the point of your helmet? What is in this helmet that has
Protect their heads.
but it doesn't have any sort of thing that allows them
No.
to see in the dark or
No,
anything like
and it has a visor that doesn't go up.
oh my god, so dumb.
Yeah.
They're like, and they had a bad sound effect. They're like, and I was like, it's a fucking flashlight. It doesn't need a cool sound effect. Anyway, there's just that one little touch. I'm like, what? Just take the helmet off. It's
Dude.
useless. This armor's useless.
I know we're still going through the storyline, but like, man, I really enjoyed this episode. Really enjoyed it.
Great episode. Great episode.
Why so, Kev?
I thought the action was really cool, and I thought that like somehow even through like him having the helmet on, we could tell he missed that damn little kid when he goes over.
He knows it
to-
isn't right.
Yeah, when he goes over to grab the like his little stick shift or whatever there was that he had removed the ball with, and like you see that shot of him being like, oh, and then like you feel like you remember, oh, that's right, he took it off and no one put it back on, and it was just like such a like gut wrench moment of like,
I gotta go kill
You
some
go-
fuckers.
Well,
it's
go
re-
get that guy,
and it's
man.
really
go
good.
get him right now.
Yeah, that's really. I mean, that was a really
Yeah.
good moment, right? That was he looks at it, and the second he goes to touch it, you're like, this is it. He's gonna power down this ship, and he's gonna go fucking murk all these people. And it was really nice.
But they go through the cool sort of setup of him hitting all the buttons to turn on the ship, and then that moment happens, and then you see turning
Yeah.
everything off. It's like,
Oh,
okay,
so
here
rad.
we go. I thought it was a really cool touch.
Yeah, it reminds me of another great scene in this seminal film, Lethal Weapon 4, when Danny
That's a good
Glover
one.
and Mel Gibson are looking at
Is
Jet
Jet Li
Li.
involved? Yeah.
And Jet Li standing at the end of this pier, and he's
Jet
all
Li was in
bloody.
Lethal
Oh, Jet Li's a
Weapon.
bad
Lethal Weapon 4.
motherfucker in
He's
Lethal
so
Weapon 4.
cool.
But he's like unbeatable. Like Riggs, up until this point, has been just fucking kicked the shit out of everyone,
Right.
including
Anymore.
Gary Busey and the weird South African guy that he fought in the second one. But in this
Joe
one,
Pesci.
he's too old. And he really is too old for this shit. And he goes, he's like, that's someone else's problem. You and I, we could just go right now. And as they're walking away, they literally turn their backs and they're like, we're going to walk away. And the audience is like, oh shit, they're not going to fight Jet Li. And then he goes, how do you do that thing with the gun? And Danny Glover goes, I guess we're going to go have to ask him.
Yeah, it's
and
so
then turn
good.
back around and get the shit beat out of him. But it's a great moment.
I love that. Guys, do you know the name of the ship, the Mandalorian ship?
Slave 2. Slave 69.
It looks like Slave 2.
15.
From-
Razor Crest.
Ooh.
It's like Falcon Crest. remember that?
Badass
I'm in.
space stuff, man.
I do the ship. I think is probably the
Yodeling
best looking
Yoda.
CG in the show, because it's just so much easier to
I-
make metals and stuff look convincing when they are amongst. Like in the first episode, I guess when he lands on the desert planet, and you see all the sort of sand reflecting against her. I think it's the most convincing CG so far.
I don't love the ship CG. Like to me, it does kind of look like it doesn't fit all the time.
Oh, really?
But the thing is, it's not a complaint of like TV stuff because like we just watched Force Awakens and I had anytime a ship lands and then the little drop thing like falls down for the people to walk down, it always has this really kind of like, oh, this doesn't feel right look to it.
This one had a cool moment though, where the ramp comes down and the arms that are the hydraulic arms actually receded back into it, which I thought was a really cool design. I think the ship is perfect for the story. I just don't like that era of ships for him because it's like Clone War era kind of ship. And it looks more like a bomber. Slave 1 was a completely different design. I thought it was way cooler, but completely impractical because you have to sit in it like a fucking astronaut going into the moon. But
The seats rotate.
no, because there's that one shot in Clone Wars where Boba Fett goes up
sitting-
to the top
yeah.
and then has to sit like strapped
Yeah,
himself
yeah,
in.
yeah.
You're like,
Yeah,
what's
like-
the point of that?
The only thing I
that's
don't like
stupid.
about the ship is I do think it looks a little too generic. It doesn't. It
Like,
lacks
it looks
a
like
little
a
bit
Clone
of
War.
character.
Doesn't it look like one of those like the bombers from the Clone Wars?
The ship stuff I got here. The Razor Crest was a
Or the-
gunship used by the Mandalorian. It was once a military craft used to patrol local territories prior to the Galactic Empire. That's all we really got.
Yeah.
The Razor
Yeah.
Crest was designed by Lucasfilm design veteran Doug Chang. It was created as a practical model rather than a computer-generated effect.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think to your earlier point, like some of the ship going through some of the environments are some of the effects that take me out. I think they had a little bit of an issue with this. Like, there's one scene in this too where he's going through, and the problem with having your character be practical and all shiny is that it has that wonderful effect of, as you're going through different lighting, it's refracting and you're seeing that in real time happen practically. But then there's the moment where the Yoda is CG and it's going through and it's perfectly well lit the entire time because it's not getting into the actual shadows and stuff. And I hate that. And I also hate when they don't do that when they're in the cockpit and he's flying and you're not seeing real-time shadows affect him or real-time lighting effects affect him. Like, they'll do it now where when they did Force Awakens, they put LED screens everywhere. And so when they're flying, they actually have a rendering of what they're seeing happening around them. So as it's going on, you're seeing the shadow effects and all the lighting on their face. They don't do that in this.
Ray, help me!
I think they do.
Wait,
do that.
they do that in this whole series.
I didn't see that.
Like,
at
that was-
all.
Did you
Oh,
not
remember
listen
the
to the
interview?
Q&A?
Like, they talked about that at
Way to
length,
come on
right?
time.
I didn't. I mean, it doesn't come through in this
Yeah.
though. I have not seen that happen once when he's
Yeah.
flying. There's multiple moments where he's going to land the ship and he's just complete, like, as the ship's moving, there's nothing on his face.
Is there any like special features for this? Like,
I don't think so. I'll check right now.
Because like I'd love to see, because like during the Q&A, that's one of the things they talked about at length, and it was like,
Interesting.
man, I would really love to visualize this shit.
Well, they talked about visualizing in the environment, but I don't remember them doing that. I may have gone to the bathroom for that part.
Pedro Pascal was talking about how like he was like, oh, it's all futuristic. You walk in and like it's like
They're
you're
using
there.
new technology.
Yeah.
They kept saying.
And then
I thought he was talking about that in regards to like being on set and seeing what people like. I think that's what they used the Unreal Engine for, which was actually like the previs real time. You look at a monitor and you go, okay, I can see what I'm supposed to be looking at.
I thought it was that implementing like
Maybe.
LED screens to make that facade.
Yeah, maybe, but
Yeah.
I didn't see that actually come through. Like,
Yeah.
you can actually see during moments where they're doing cockpit work in Force Awakens where it's like shit's happening all over them, and it really, really sells the effect that they're
During the Q&A, Favreau did say that that they're going to do some like documentary stuff afterwards.
Yeah, I feel like they announced that Disney Plus is going to have a doc, but I think it is after because I just checked. There's no extras at all
That's
except
too bad.
except the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where were we, Greg?
Oh, so we've gotten back to Herman Holst, and he's like, "All right, here's the money or whatever." And we're like, "Thanks for all the money. What's going on with the egg?" And he's like, "Don't ask fucking questions. I thought you people didn't ask questions. I'm kind of really cranky about this. I'm gonna give you 2 stars." He's like, well, "Slow down. I'm number one.
Give you
I
2
got
stars.
a great rating right now. Don't fuck this up for me, old man."
Relax.
So he takes the money back over to the Mandalorian place where they all sit and they hang out underneath the ground. And we go down there and we go right to the blacksmith and we're just like, cha-ching, motherfucker! And then all the other Mandalorians start all being like,
Why has he
damn.
got so
Where'd he
they
get
all,
all
they
that
all come in,
fucking
slithering
bling?
fucking snakes, not a talent among them. You know what I mean? They come in like, we got only one. There's just one big guy. He's like, well, I got only one
We're
of
gonna
us.
call him
can-
War Machine from
only
now on.
I'm War Machine.
Fair.
Only one of us can go up every day. Like, what the fuck? And you're always
What
the one
up?
going up.
That
and
seemed like I didn't catch that moment, but
Yeah.
we were talking about it earlier. That seems like a
Dumb.
really dumb, weird rule.
Also,
Like, also, isn't
why are they
isn't
in hiding?
Mandalorian's gone for like weeks at a time, right, on these jobs.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what, so what? Does nobody else come out, or is it like one a day can go out?
Look, man, this is
But
the
like,
way.
but like,
This
okay,
is
so
the
you're,
way.
you're in
It's
a
our
small
code.
town.
Code.
You're in a
It's our
small
code.
town where everyone, a very small town by the way, where everyone obviously knows what's going on with everyone's business because they're all these sneaky motherfuckers that are trying to stab each other in the back, and they're not aware that there's 50 Mandalorians underground.
They all wear different
That
armor.
all are
with
different sizes.
like,
different.
sigils
One
on
of
them.
them's a female, and clearly, and then some of them are just small little kids that come around. Like, I don't understand why they have this subterfuge going on. And also, isn't the whole reason they're hiding in the first place because they were hunted by the Empire? And if the Empire is no longer around, why not just come out and start a new civilization someplace? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Hey, man,
I
here's
think
what I
I
think.
think that they're going to get into all of it. You know,
There's not where we live now. There's no more anteaters walking around, but ants still go to their fucking hive.
It's great point.
Anyway, so we put it down, and she's like, "I'll start melting all this shit."
That was so dumb. I can't even. I can't even complain about it.
She's like, "How did you get this?" And he's like, "In a fight. What'd you fight?" He's like, "I fought the old Zubat." Oh, well, I'll put the Zubat as your sigil. And he's like, "Well, I
This
didn't.
Zubat?
I didn't actually fucking beat the Zubat. Somebody else beat the Zubat." And she's like, "Fine, no sigil still." And then War Machine's all, "I don't know what the fuck. I'm
War Machine.
I want to get out of here and like do this shit." And he's got all this fucking Empire shit and like blah blah. And he's like, "I'm gonna take off your helmet." And that's when Mandalorian's like, "The fuck you are." So they did this thing where they each got each other and like running around by heads and shit, spinning
the
around.
classic,
I liked it.
wrestling thing.
Yeah.
And I think this is when like
They
fucking,
took off his helmet, but he had a helmet underneath.
Exactly,
Like, yeah.
exactly.
dialing it back though before where he talks about like winning And she goes, oh, I'll use that as your symbol. And he goes, you can't use that because I was helped by an enemy. And she goes, why would an enemy help you? He goes, because he didn't know he was my enemy. He didn't know to be my enemy yet.
Fucking cool line.
And it's a really cool, I'm like, there's just that moment where he's like, he's still working out in his head as to what side he's going to be on, where he's like, fuck, this thing did help me.
Really
and
cool.
It's right. And I'm doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
It's a
This
good
is where
moment.
we're getting more like we're
getting the
character
lore
development,
of the Mandalorian.
They don't call
More
it
Delore.
no,
the Manda,
come on, guys.
no
That was really
storian.
good.
It took him a while to warm up today, but goddamn, Greg,
Yeah.
you're there.
Yeah. And so then, now you got the old fucking tink tink, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
The old
you know, the
Yeah.
old blacksmith.
Blacksmith,
you know,
yeah.
blacksmith's like, hey, knock it off! Stop fighting! There's like 50 of us. We live in this shithole. We can't fight each other. That's our code.
Such is our code.
Such is our code. You know what I
Such is
mean?
our code.
And they're
Put
like,
it on
you
the
know
shirt.
what? Such is our code.
I hate working here.
What is it? This is our way? What did they say?
This is the way.
Whatever, bro.
I think we should commit to such
Such
is
is
the
our
code.
code.
And then Andy, can you make a Mandalorian
Such is life.
helmet?
From now on-
the helmet is made out of the words "such is our code."
Oh,
Andy, from
Yeah.
now on, when I talk in the bathroom, and you guys go, Nick, stop talking to us through the bathroom door, I'm gonna go, such is our code.
Why did
I'm
you
the
use that
Mandalorian.
voice? Why?
Andy
she-
giggled in the bathroom earlier today, and it was the best thing.
Disturbing. So she's all like, tink, tink, and she's just like making all this shit or whatever. And so then, he walks in all badass to the canteen, and he's
And
like,
it's
I am
fucking
full blown. I am a fucking
I have level
amazing
7 armor
Spider-Man
now.
Fuck
number
with me,
300.
you know I got
I
it.
am here. I am a Chromanian cover.
walking in with that drip, dog.
Don't get me wrong, I love the look of this chrome armor, but I kind of miss the older armor. The reason why I like.
complaining about?
Well, the reason why I like his older armor is because it reminds me of Boba Fett's old armor, where
Oh,
it
yeah.
looks like
Let
it's
it go.
battle.
Kill the past.
But it looks like he's been
Star
through
Wars.
battles in it, and it's actually like held up. And I like the mismatched like paint schemes of it. This to me is like, I don't know if I was a person who was going to go hunt other people, I'd want to be this bright and this. Like, because you can see that if
Yeah.
it's sun out, you can see this motherfucker coming from like
It's
4
ego,
miles out.
dude.
But like, what is blinding
Hubris.
me? Is that is that
the baddest
a
ass in
Mandalorian?
the world's coming to get us? You know?
I would like just put a little spray on it. Let's dull it down a little bit. You know that
Something tells me that over the course of the next 7 episodes, we're going to see some suit changes.
Well, his helmet's already like his helmet's made out of the same material, right? The
Yeah.
Berserker
Yeah.
steel or whatever it is.
yeah,
Berserker
the Berserker
Steel.
And
barrage.
actually-
it's
not-
dirtied up as well. So assumingly, like the next episode after he's been in this gunfight, it's going to be a little.
Comics are
muddied
gonna
up.
be so mad at us.
Berserker's close enough. I was gonna. I have a feeling that like once he gets his sigil, like he might do like a color palette.
That's what I think. Yeah,
Yeah, and
I think
I
it's
think
gonna
that'd
be
be really cool.
like related to the thing
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
Yoda.
getting the, yeah.
It's going to be green, and he's going to be Boba Fett, and this is a prequel.
Oh
we
my
didn't know
God.
it the entire time.
Boba-
And this
that
is the
actually
real Yoda.
is Yoda. Yeah,
we
really
need to
Yoda.
send you and this thing back in time. And he's like, all right, send him back way far where he can just go. I want him to land on a fucking planet and be able just to force bowls and spoons into existence, right? Why? How did he get all this fucking shit? Jimmy Smits kicks him out of the fucking carriage, right? Oh, and he lands down there. He's like, thank you, Jimmy Smith. And then it's like, you know what? I'm going to make a hut. I'm going to make a bowl. I want to do all. What are you doing?
There's more important things.
You don't think he brought? You don't think he brought it?
Why did you stay and fight, you little bitch? You know what I mean? I
He
understand.
was
you're-
so close to winning.
I know. You're
He was
tired
right
listening
there,
to the
yeah.
review. I
we
know.
had to see him crawl through the vents though.
Oh, my God,
Anyways,
so cute.
Mandalorian comes in. He should be big dick swinging. He looks like he's big dick swinging, but on the inside, he's a heartbroken DeLorean. And so he sits down there and he kicks up his feet. And Carl Weathers is literally immediately just like, "Hey yo, fuck all y'all! You're bad at being bounty hunters. This guy's
We
good
got
at being
this
bounty
guy,
hunter."
shiny.
I have it like this. Hey,
Yeah.
This guy's
Cool.
all
He's
about
like, and
guns.
I'm rich too. And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't fucking flash you millions of dollars in
I
your pocket.
love that. Like, hey, you're not the only one that got rich. Look at my shit. It's that metal you guys fucking
Berserker
love.
steel.
I'm gonna just put it
Animated
back
steel.
in.
Berserker Steel.
What is the real name of it? It's
Logan.
like, what's that?
It all is connected.
What, it's called Bezer Steel or something like that? Or
It's
Bizarre?
Berserker Steel for the rest of this episode.
Cool, Berserker Steel.
It's pretty close to that though.
Would you like some making
Herzog.
fuck
Barrett. You want to yell for Barrett?
Warner of Herzog.
It's fine. The steel.
So
We'll call it the
anyways,
Mandalorian
that's
steel.
happening, and he's like, just
Beskar.
fucking let's
Best
celebrate, let's have a good time, and no, DeLorean's like, bruh, fucking give me a job. Mando. He's like, bruh, let me get the fuck out of here, and he's like, no, you can party. He's like, no, jobs. And he's like, you people are
He's like, let
on the
me
move."
take it to the milk massage place or
Totally, totally.
the derby. I was
They'll
like,
squeeze
He said
them
the
dips.
Twi'lek, what did he say? The
pleasure
Twi'lek
massages or some
shit like
Something
that.
like that.
I was
Right.
like, yeah, let's stop by there. real
So he
quick.
gives
I
him,
wanna see
he's
that
like, here's
scene.
a fucking puck or whatever. Go get your job on. He's like, all right, cool, fuck y'all. And he's like, fuck this place and fuck all my emotions. I'm a Mandalorian. I don't feel emotions except when I
Half
think
man.
about except when I see
Half
flashes. Then I see my fucking family getting
like a
killed.
Vulcan.
I'm putting a goddamn fucking storm cellar. He gets on the plane, his little space plane, and he's like, all right, cool, time to go. Bloop, bloop, bloop. That's when he sees the ball's not there. And he's like, all right, that fucking lizard took the ball off. I like that lizard.
Damn, Greg.
You know what I mean?
How does your mind work?
What?
Like, it's just
You're a heartless
it's so
bastard.
fast. Like, I don't know just how you get, like, I just would
The
never,
lizard took
never
the
jump
ball.
to lizard taking the ball.
And how fucking
Okay,
good, man.
sorry you've never looked at a fucking lizard before, all right? I'll tell you what. Not a day goes by, I'm not in an aquarium.
yeah.
Look at a lizard.
So, you mean a
You look, like
terrarium?
you look like a Yoda. You look like a Yoda. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Okay, sure.
Anyways, he's like, fuck, I gotta go save this little
Not a
lizard. You know
day
what I
goes by
mean?
That I'm not in an aquarium.
So he just
That's
goes.
what he said.
He goes back to fucking Hertzer Burser's face. And he's like, fuck this wall, blows up the wall, right? Everybody runs over like, what the fuck? That was my favorite wall. And he's like, bam,
Here,
bam, bam.
and to pause here, and this I like this.
Oh,
right?
it's a good scene.
He blows up the wall. The stormtroopers come out, and he's already behind him. That to me is something clever and fun. I was like, oh, they're going to walk out and he's going to. I thought he was just going to pop out and start shooting him. No, he's already behind him. That's cool. That to me is someone who's like has experience hunting people and knows how to bait someone in and then get the better of them. I liked that. That was a good character moment for me.
Great scene. Great episode.
Kills everyone.
Keeps
then
working his way, killing everybody. Yeah, eventually gets
decides to, for no reason, just toast a stormtrooper to death.
Hey, disintegration.
He's mad.
Yeah.
He knows that they were going to do something to the lizard. He doesn't know what exactly.
His
But
name
that
is
lizard-
Yodelini.
The child. The
Yeah, he
child.
talks to the
We-
glasses guy.
We all agreed
Huh?
to call him the child. Remember?
Yeah, but then
I'll
he said
take Yodelini.
Yodelini, so now
I like
the
Yodelini.
fucking bets are off. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
I thought
Yeah,
Yodi.
the
That was
lizard.
Yodi.
So the scientist guy's like, I saved him. They wanted to kill him, but I saved him. And he's like, I'm gonna fucking burn you alive anyway. And then the guy looks up and he's gone. That's just another cool thing where he's like, I'm not done listening to you. You're an idiot. But do you think of that later? He walked out and was like, is he still here? Blast of fucking fire to his face.
Maybe.
I don't think
I don't
so.
know. No.
I like how much he uses his fire.
Instead,
a lot.
we go back to the
In
cantina,
every
right?
episode.
And everybody's going boop 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 boop. It's like, fuck,
This is the
Battle
John
Royale!
Wick scene.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
totally.
All
man.
the hitmen are looking
yeah.
after him. You know what I mean?
I do like to go back to Kevin's point though. I do like how they actually make use of the things that he has, the grappling hook, the fire.
Yeah.
Like we've seen those things used in a practical, fun way, which like when he was climbing up in the prior episode, he was climbing up the Jawa's fortress things.
And it was a
then has to
different
climb
use
it
of
up.
it, yeah.
I was like, oh, they're actually, these things
Giving
that were
reasons,
that
yeah.
used to be just random costume design elements that everyone's like, what's that
George
used
always
for?
had this vision.
Yeah, George has a vision for everything.
Yeah.
Sure.
He knew
Yeah,
what this
exactly.
was.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rest in
especially the
peace.
guy that was. You should. I listened to a really fascinating interview with Rick Baker where they talked about the cantina scene, and he was brought in to spice that up.
No way.
And yeah, so basically, beforehand, it used to be a bunch of it was just guys that were like in makeup, and George Lucas called them up, was like, I need there to be. This needs to feel like a place where just total crazy creatures and aliens are.
Oh, you're talking about in the original movie.
in A New Hope, yeah.
Got it. I
And
thought
so
you were
Rick,
talking about
no,
this.
not in this. Rick Baker's been he's retired, but he had a bunch of masks that he had worked on, including the devil mask and the alien mask
Yeah.
that he
And the
just brought in,
werewolf.
and they just and the werewolf. Those were all things that he had worked on privately, and so he put them in and had that feeling. But there was that like, shit, we need to spice this up a little bit. And I also didn't know this, but he said a fun fact was the cantina band scene was filmed in a different country at a different time. It was filmed in America like 6 months later.
Wow.
Yeah, so the actual band you see was not in the original set.
Huh.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Oh, very cool stuff. Before we keep going, let me tell you about our sponsors. Cool.
So yeah, so now all the bounty hunters are out there in the streets. You know what I mean? Mando, he's walking through with the egg. And he got the lizard in it, right? And he's like, "This is gonna be the easiest getaway I ever had." And then he looks around, he's like, "I'm fucked."
Yeah,
There's
this
a
was
lot of bad guys.
This was a disappointing moment for me because you're like, you assumed that this guy who was so good at like in this last scene of taking these highly trained soldiers out, that he would have had a better exit strategy than walking down Main Street in Disneyland and letting all the fucking, you know what I mean, all the cosplay people come out and kill him. What was his plan here? You're just gonna you just
Nobody else knows about the
you
egg?
just killed 20 people and like that's gonna be cool. You're just gonna walk
No,
out.
I think it was like blend in. I think it was his plan to just be cool. We're gonna get back to the
We'll
ship.
figure
He's
out
like, just
this
pretend like the
tomorrow.
thing I'm carrying is just a bag of flour, like when we had to do
Exactly.
it in
It's
health
like
class.
roses covering the shotgun.
Yeah.
I thought this was
Terminator
cool.
2.
Exactly, Terminator 2.
Yeah.
I really
I-
enjoyed this.
yeah.
I think we saw a lot of his sort of his creativity with combat, because this is the scene where Carl Weathers does. He's like, "Fucking give us a package, bro, and you'll be set. We can talk about this." And for a second, it's like, are they going to talk about it?
They're not gonna talk about it.
Yeah, they're not going to talk about it.
no.
He talks first, questions later.
Yeah. So his shit goes down. He jumps in the little thing, which he talks first, asks questions. later.
Yeah, you know.
It's fine. The payoff of the scene works for me, but some of the elements of it where I'm like, what is he pinned in this thing? There's guys that are above him. They can't just shoot him. Like, this is the
In
dumb,
the back of
is
this
dumb.
like hate truck or
Yeah,
whatever.
he's hiding. He's got a half a foot of a fucking speeder's thin metal between him and 80 blasters that are out there. Also, it does that one thing where I'm like, how many people are out there? Because it looks like there's only about 20 people out there, and he killed about 15 of them. And then when the scene culminates in what's arguably a really cool climax, there's still a war going on as he's taking off. I'm like, how did these Mandalorians not kill everything?
I do think that more people were coming constantly, and like I think that that's what was happening, because the message is going out. So like the first batch that he's fighting against is the people that were in the like,
bar
cantina.
Yeah, but that's
and then later more people are coming, just like
yeah, but
more
we didn't see
Mandalorian.
that.
Everybody
We
just wanted a
pretty much
third
everyone
party
in
to
the
fight.
bar.
You just want a third party to fight. Get in there when everybody's all weak and low on ammo.
yeah,
and
yeah.
the one-
Smash Brothers when you steal a kill.
Exactly.
You know?
The one thing I definitely didn't love was the use of the flamethrower in this scene, because I just it just feels like all for naught.
How did it get used?
He's
He
just
like runs out.
spraying
He
it
runs
at
out of
Oh,
juice
yeah,
though
yeah,
at some
He's
point.
just spraying at everybody, and he eventually runs out of ammunition or whatever. But I kind of just didn't like the way that looked.
I also didn't love the ham-fisted. We've got extra of this. What do you want to build with it? Oh, build me some of those chirping birds, whispering birds, whatever they
something.
were. Because those are really good against crowds.
yeah.
And then 5 minutes later, you're like, oh, well, he's going to
Oh,
use those
there we
things.
go.
That was
Yeah.
that was
A little
dumb.
too telegraphed.
That was way too telegraphed. But he gets pinned down, and you're like, oh, he's fucked. And then you're like, who could come and save him?
We see it across
Does he
the
have
sky.
20 of the galaxy's like most badass mercenary warriors
But remember,
down
they
below?
can only come out one at a time.
Yeah, for no
This
reason.
is the time they reveal themselves.
And apparently he's the only
Jedi.
one of them that
The
doesn't
last
have a
will have the
rocket pack.
revenge.
Dude.
And is surprised. I was like, wait, is this a new thing? Did everyone go to Costco and get a fucking 20-pack of rocket packs? How come I don't have one of these rocket packs?
the implementation of the jetpacks was like I was so happy to see them back. You know?
I love that they used them.
Yeah.
I love that moment. And in spite of itself, I thought it was a really cool moment because you're like, obviously they're gonna come save him, right? There's
Yeah.
20 Mandalorians out, and they're gonna come fucking wreck shit. Having them come in with the guy with the fucking blowing people
Gatling
away and
gun,
stuff
yeah.
was cool. The actual effect of them flying up and landing, I could have done without. It was very much wire work, and I'm like, oh man, I wish
thought it
this
was
could
fine.
have been CGI.
Yeah.
I love
Oh,
the
it was
entire
fun
scene.
too,
Love the
yeah.
entire scene.
Yeah, I love
I
all of it.
also-
And the Gatling gun reminded me a lot of Baze from Rogue One.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. I like that they all. You can see it reminds you a lot of Halo Reach.
Yeah.
a lot of these Mandalorians
Absolutely.
have different they're different armor sets.
But it
Obviously,
still
this is a big
looks
tank
like
guy.
Chief's armor.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like or Spartan armor. It's still the same type
Yeah.
of thing with Mandalorian.
I thought that was,
I-
I thought that was a cool touch.
Yeah, and I like that they were like, even the guy that was a dick to him was
Yeah.
like, you're still one of us, and so we're gonna come
It
in.
is our code.
Yeah.
It is our code. Such is our code.
That's what I was about to touch on too. Like I thought that was such a strong moment because he was the guy with the giant.
He's the guy at the
Yeah,
end
gun.
too, right?
Yeah.
That like does the
Give those
Iron Man
salute,
salute, which I
yeah.
really could have done without.
Yeah, that I could have also done with that, where it was like,
Loved
oh,
it. It was great.
I did
but, like,
not like
Mandalorian
that
pride.
moment.
Meow. You know?
That was one scene where I'm like, oh man, because this looks so much like War Machine flying next to
Machine.
like doing that shit.
Yeah.
Like when he's like, it reminded me of the end of like Iron Man. I think it was 2, where he's like, hey, I'm gonna want my armor back. He's like, nope, see you later, and then flies off. And I'm like, all right, that's fine. But
I thought it was cute only because we get like the one kind of moment of
I want one of those.
comedic relief. Like I
Yeah.
gotta get one of those. Like I don't know why that
Yeah.
moment worked for me.
That
when
moment worked really well. It's
I'm usually
competitive.
really touch and go with moments of comedic relief, especially with characters as serious as his is. But when I saw that, I was like, okay, that's cool. I like this.
I think it's because Pedro Pascal's like he just sounds so cool.
They look
And
cool.
But
when he
also,
says-
we've seen him not be the badass the whole time, right? Like now he's vulnerable. He is a little silly. We've seen him in situations where he gets fucking electrocuted and falls off the thing. So comedy relief can work in this now because there is a touch of like the zany that's going on in the series, which is good.
And
Which-
still,
which is kinda Star
anytime
Wars.
we see
Yeah.
this damn Yodelini, I just want to just watch him for hours.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
so
it's
glad
just
he
like-
How
wasn't
quick?
dead.
How much longer before merch is out of him? You think?
You got to imagine they're trying to keep the
Finish the season off.
yeah
probably?
yeah.
Dude, but like, let's talk about that closing scene, right? Where like the whole thing comes full circle with that visual storytelling moment of him taking the ball out of his hand and being like, "Stop! That's not something to play with." And then as they're taking off, he goes and unscrews the ball and just drops it into his little hand.
And you just see him like kind of pop out.
Yeah, and
So
it's
adorable.
and it's like, and that's so great because that's great storytelling of him. Like, okay, I'm all in on this. Like, I'm protecting this thing. I'm giving it what it wants.
And the thing that I love the most about this is him leaving that planet, and we're kind of like, okay, see you later, planet. We're going to a new adventure.
And what I love about that
going.
is we don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
Dude,
I
that's-
love, again, this episode ended in a way that I'm just like, I have mystery and intrigue going into the next one. It sucks that we need to
wait
personally
so long.
wait 2 weeks for it.
And that's
but-
again, that's my I've talked to nausea about that, how I want to binge these so fucking badly. But what I will say from like a story perspective, I really
Bless you,
I love the idea of the bounty
should've come
hunter
earlier.
Such is the
that
way.
turns against his people and then gets hunted by the rest of the bounties. And that's what the rest of the season is going to be. It's going to be him with this thing that everyone wants, and he's got to fight all the IG-88s, the Bosks.
It's gonna be John
all
Wick,
those things.
dude.
It's going to be John Wick, basically, which Tim doesn't understand what you're talking about because
So
Tim
good.
is the only
Contextually,
person
it's-
stuck underneath
can't
the
wait
rock
for
that
that
hasn't seen
interview.
John Wick.
Tim, I haven't seen John Wick.
But
It's gonna be a great interview.
but it's cool. Like when they talked about Boba Fett, like making a Boba Fett movie, I'm like, that would have been an awesome story to see this badass Boba Fett. But I don't know if you could have done it with him because he's so kind of. He has that perception of being so evil, whereas this character was ambiguous enough so that now that he's turned toward the good side, I'm interested to see him getting hunted.
I also like what you're saying. Like, I don't think that this would have worked as a movie because, like, I really feel like that we have time to develop this character out and like have a relationship. You know, where it's just like a movie.
Yeah, I'll see that.
Having 2 hours to do, is really tough.
I think I agree. Like a 2.5 hour long movie where because you figure this would have happened around minute 25. That wouldn't have
No,
been.
this probably would have happened
Yeah.
around minute 40, and like
Maybe.
yeah, and I feel like that's not even enough time to develop that story out.
I think they
how
could.
I'd
I
wanna
think they
see
could have
it.
done it, but I agree. Like I'm having more fun seeing it kind of play out in a more relaxed manner.
And especially 3 episodes in now, I feel like it was the biggest issue in the first episode, but now that we've seen a bit more, I like how many characters are introduced and have their moments and then leave and then might come back and might
Well,
not.
see, that's the thing. I wonder if they have that one line where he's like, we're going to have to find a new planet. He's like, we'll figure it out. Such is our way or whatever. And then,
or whatever.
or whatever. So I wonder if we're going to see the rest of them for the rest of this first season.
Yeah, it's just
I'm willing to
cool.
bet that he's off on his own for the rest of the time. Carl Weathers is coming back.
But so
obviously.
Carl Weathers is cool,
Already
but like
pulled out the medal.
the IG-11, like Taika Waititi's character, I like that he was in the first episode. He might not be back at all, and that'd
I
be
hope he's
totally
back,
cool.
'cause that was really
The
funny.
Nick Nolte character was in the first one, then came back in the second. Like you didn't need to though, you know. It's
I
like
wonder if he's going to fly back to Nick Nolte's character because this guy seems like the white
maybe,
sage.
but I like
doesn't
that.
know
I like
shit.
that we don't know, and I feel like it could be cooler. Like they
Yeah.
could just meet new friends.
Yeah.
And I just want to go back to the Taika point. Like I was talking to Kevin about this, and I don't really think I worded it as well as I wanted to in the first episode of Interview, but I just hate that I feel wasted on that character. Why I love his voice talent, and I immediately think of Infinity
Korg?
War, Korg. I immediately think of Korg and how charming and funny that character is. Not saying that this character needs to be an Aussie kind of like weird, goofy dude, but I wish he was more of a mainstay in this product because I just love his voice
I
acting.
guarantee they're going to bring him back.
He'll
Yeah.
be back, Andy. Don't worry.
Yeah.
There's going to be another IG droid that comes to hunt him down. He's
And
getting,
even though it's like a totally robotic, not his voice, like I feel like the timing, like there's something that Taika's bringing that makes that character even better.
I just want Taika to be everybody
Yeah.
Yeah.
in every movie. Just
Yeah,
Taika.
man.
So I mean, we know for sure though that he's gonna, presumably in the fourth one was when they'll introduce. They got to introduce Gina Carano's character at some point.
And that's the thing too is I like that there's these characters on the poster that might not be that
haven't seen,
relevant.
yeah.
Who else
you know?
is there? Like Gina Carano's there on the poster, and what was the other?
And then
character?
Taika's character.
Taika's character. I have to guess that she's going to be the main person hunting him down, or maybe she's a teammate. I don't know.
The way they talked about it in because they had her in an interview.
Oh,
kinda
she nailed it. Best interview I've ever seen. God.
I like when they
It
asked her, they're like,
kinda
"What was your
sounds-
first day like?" She's like, "My character is delicate, but also strong." You're like, "That okay?" Stop asking the actors to answer questions. They're bad at it.
Oh man.
Yeah, they all were. They were all very, very
So
rough.
So
universally
Favreau was at that
bad
one.
at it.
Yeah.
The only-
Okay, because the LA one Favreau wasn't at, but
No, that was
Filoni
the
was
LA
at.
one.
No, he was at that.
Dave was
all
at,
of
this
them.
was the only one that was there. They live.
We
streamed
watched
it.
a live stream of that Q&A from Los Angeles. Thanks for coming early.
And let me
But,
tell
you
you,
know, he wasn't at ours.
I thought the SF one had like Gina Carano and some of the smaller people, but then the LA one had like,
No, this
Like
had a
Jawas?
moment. This one had a moment where
that.
Werner Herzog started talking, and I was like, "Oh my god, I feel like I'm back in French New Wave film class." I don't know what the fuck he's talking
Did you
about.
get that reference that they were talking about taking the boat over the mountain?
I blacked out.
He
I don't
did
know
a
what the
movie
hell.
where like they required to move a 320-ton boat over a mountain, and he was like, "Yeah, the only way is to do it practical." I was like, "I'm sure there's another way."
Yeah, pretty sure that's right. But Werner was like, "It's so
There must be another way.
fascinating
3
that
people
the-
got
that
injured.
you were the only person who's making like he started talking about making lore and how he's like, there was the Bible and that made lore, and now there's this, and I'm like. I think some other people made some stories there, Werner, that are pretty fascinating.
Meanwhile, they asked Pedro Pascal a question. It was like the first time he's ever talked. I'm like,
Ha!
you've talked about this character before. You've been on panels. He's like, it's all over the place. I'm like, what the
But
hell's
also,
going
I
on?
love how much. I
Such
know
is
we're
the
getting off
code.
on a tangent, but I love how much of a fucking dork Pedro Pascal is when he talks in his normal voice. Where he's like, "I don't know, guys, I'm just having a great time." Like I showed that to my wife. She's like, "If I were dating him, I would make him speak with the accent."
Yeah,
I would
the
make him be
actors were
Peña.
so good. I liked the directors talking, and
Directors
I
nailed
liked the
it.
composer and all that. That stuff I thought was really cool. And John Favreau as showrunner. And
but the
Filoni,
directors have to
they-
think in a more globally manner about everything that's happening
Totally.
here. The actors, and you got to give them a little leeway. They come in, they do their line. They don't know what the fuck's going on. They don't know what the thing's gonna look like that's attacked. They're just like, "I'm here, man. I don't know. I'm having a great time,
God, I was gonna say, and I know we're talking a lot about this, like
Q&A.
little Q&A, but
It's great because I was
Yeah.
there too.
John Favreau, while I like what he said, he kept like closing his eyes.
He was sleepy.
and he was super like deep in his chair when it was like, "You are a little too comfortable."
Like
right
Yoda
now."
at the Jedi
Yeah.
Council.
Man, there was a moment where I forget the host's name. She's the co-host of
E.T..
is it
Alex?
E.T.? Ashley, I don't know. She was like, Pedro, what was your first day like on set? And he talked for like 15 minutes around in circles about
And
nothing.
then it came back.
And then it came back, and she was like, "Okay, great, Gina, what was your first day like?" And I was like, "Are we gonna talk?" And
Oh
Poe
my
leaned over to
God.
me, he's like, "Are they gonna ask all 7 people what their first day was like?"
Yeah, that was
When it-
You
When-
could tell she was just like, I got to get everyone to talk at least a
At
little
somewhere
bit.
around the 35-minute mark, Poe leaned over to me and he's just like, "You had to give Kevin a movie show, didn't you?"
Dude, but Gina Carano, though, oh my God.
Yeah,
I'm
she's-
sorry, what was the question? She had like, oh, come
Oh,
on.
stop.
Listen, for God, that's all you have to do. Just
So
listen to
but
be prepared.
back to it. I'm interested to see where she comes. You know?
Me too. There are enough story elements in this, specifically because they nailed the implementation of Yodellini, that I'm like, I really want to see what happens in the next episode.
Yeah.
And like, I'm getting more and more invested in the series as we go, which is great. That's
Yeah.
perfect. We talked about a little bit. I had some harsher criticisms for the first episode, and I think you said it, or maybe Poe said it. Someone was like, "It's a pilot, right? Kind of."
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I guess to a degree, like they're establishing a lot of the visual look of the series. The characters, you assume if they're filming quasi in order, if they're doing the episodes, they're filming episode 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. Like they're still trying to get into their own, comfortable in their own skin. And I think you're starting to see that, and also a lot of the humor starting to come through, which I like a lot personally.
Yeah, I really enjoyed episode 1, but I was a little let down overall, just like comparing it to what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
By episode 3, it's what I thought it was going to
Yeah.
be. And I am so in, and I didn't expect that there, in the same way that playing Fallen Order, where I didn't think I could love a droid that much, like more than already like BB-8, having just seen Force Awakens, where it's like, God, they nailed the magic. BD-1 nailed the magic. Yodellini nailed the magic in a way that I just never thought was possible.
It turns out if you just have something really small with really big eyes, that you fall in love with it.
But it's more than that too,
He's
though.
trying to do little things that like.
No,
like
I
him
fell in love
playing
with the
that
fucking thing
ball,
right
I
when he
was
goes like this. When he looks over and he's like trying to touch his arm, then he puts it back and looks over again. He's right there again.
I love it because I
He's
feel
the
like he
frog.
looks great, but it also is such a great service to the story where you know that he's important. It's not just a goober where it's like, we need to
the
take
goober,
this
yeah.
take this thing and get it somewhere and protect it at all costs. It's like it kind of is the thing that might protect him.
Yeah.
And I love there's
I mean,
all
it
these
already
things.
has.
I know, but like there's so many elements we don't know, and I think that the show's doing a great job of unveiling stuff on its timeline. And I'm all fucking in.
Yeah, I guess I'd say I was pretty lukewarm to I kind of liked the first episode. I just didn't love it. It
was fine.
I agreed with Nick on a lot of the criticisms of episode 1, but to a degree, I still thought it was fine, right? And I think every episode has gotten better since. The second one, I thought ratcheted up kind of the action and the stakes, and then by the third one, I'm like, I am fucking in, dude. I can't wait for the rest of this.
Here's a question I have for you guys, because this is something I think about, like contextually. How would you put this up against when Netflix decided they were going to do the Marvel shows. Because that to me was like that to me is kind of where my head's at, where I'm comparing it to Daredevil season 1, where I was like, oh, this is an interesting use of these characters in this world that they've created, and I think they're doing I really liked how they played around in that sandbox and made reference to the other characters and still made it feel relevant, but it was a much smaller story.
I thought Daredevil season 1 was better than what we're seeing so far.
Mandalorian.
But the thing that I give Mandalorian a lot of credit for is its need. It doesn't see need to be an hour long. This
doesn't need to be 40 minutes long. Apparently, they're like, we're gonna do some Golden Girls episodes, 22 minutes.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. We're in and we're out, and we're getting kind of we're not getting needless exposition because how much could there really be with a character like this? It's it's so focused on him. It's hard to. He's not going to sit there.
We've already seen 2 flashbacks of his horrible youth. So.
Sure, yeah, but he's not the type of character that's going to sit there and talk to himself, and it's going to be this really cool story moment. I think that's how the character is kind of built.
And he doesn't have a droid either, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have anything to like the droids in Star Wars were kind of mirroring for the character's
crowd.
inner thoughts.
Yeah.
So you'd be like, yeah, R2, I am doing that thing. It's like, great. He doesn't have that. So
But I
we're going to
feel
spend
like
a lot
now
of time with him just looking at the fucking cutest thing on the planet, and I'm okay.
But I think that like now we'll have the Yodelini to do that.
Oh,
serve that role.
you've come
committed.
along.
I
You gotta
appreciate
lean
it,
in.
Kevin.
Once
I
once
appreciate
Tim
it.
jumped
Once you
in,
say it,
there you go.
it's
You
like
gotta
it's
do
It's
it.
happening. Going to the Netflix thing, I feel we've spent the last 5 years talking so much shit about the filler episodes of Netflix.
Yeah.
Where it's like there's
Yes.
always the 2 to 4 episodes that they didn't need, and I love that so far we're not getting that. Even in episodes, it's 30 minutes. Fuck it, it's 40 minutes. Fuck it. I appreciate that. We already even know that
I
this
still
is
think
8
we're early,
episodes,
though.
and going into the MCU shows, those are 6. I love that. It's like they're just telling the stories in the amount of time that they want to tell them without needing all this extra fluff and shit.
Perfect.
And comparing it to like Daredevil and stuff, it's different. Where obviously Daredevil not in the MCU, that was always a weird thing of is it canon, is it not? To this day, is still a weird, confusing thing.
Right.
I think it's even only going to get more confusing when they decide to.
The actual canon shows come out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Retcon and all.
But with Star Wars, there's something unique about the Mandalorian in particular, because it's the first live action show, because Jon Favreau's making it, because they have the team that they have working on it, that brings me back to the magic of going into Force Awakens, where it was just like, oh my God, they're about to get Star Wars right. And every move they made was like, oh, it's going to be practical, and we're doing this, and it's all going to be the things that everybody wants. I feel like with Mandalorian, they're trying to do that again in a different way that we just haven't seen with TV shows, like even the Marvel shows. It's like those shows worked best when they just kind of did their own stories and stayed to themselves. This, I think they're really trying to be like, we can do whatever we want canon in Star Wars. What should we do? Not what could we do? What should we do?
But it still feels like a small, self-contained story, which I like.
Yeah.
Like I don't. Like we talked, I think 2 weeks ago about what if there was a new Jedi Order, all this stuff. I'm like, that feels too grandiose for this. To me, this needs to be about this guy who has now dedicated himself to protecting this thing. Let's see where the story goes.
Yeah.
It feels like it does feel like a limited run of a comic book series. You're like, cool, that's good. We're gonna do it. We're gonna get in. We're gonna get out. That's great.
Any closing thoughts?
I really enjoyed this episode. I cannot wait to watch episode 4. Like, it's one of those
I
things.
enjoyed them so much that I can't wait to rewatch them when I
Me
get
too.
home.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll rewatch episode 2 tonight, and then when 3 comes out, I'll rewatch that again. Just try to catch things I missed. Maybe Yeah, I think
I might
it's awesome.
I might just wait for the rest of them to spool up, and I'll watch them later.
You can go to patreon.com/kindafunny to write your haiku and review form, just like Nanobiologist did for last week's episode. And I didn't read it there. He says, I never knew that the Pacificata Star Wars spin-off show.
Pacifier.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, okay. Because I was like,
What is it?
Take
Time to
care
go
of
to
a
bed.
baby.
Time to go to bed.
I never knew the the Rock episode, the Pacifier, the Rock movie.
You mean the
Yeah, I
Vin
remember
Diesel movie,
Pacifier.
The Pacifier?
Oh, it was Vin Diesel.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He was a tooth
Pacifier.
fairy. Rock was a tooth fairy.
That's right.
Yeah. Everyone needs a paycheck, Andy. Stop judging.
Oh, I love it. Next week, we will not have any episode actually of the show because it's Thanksgiving week. We're
Thanksgiving.
not doing the morning shows at all. But then the following week, my God, it's Star Wars in review week, ladies and gentlemen. Monday we will be doing episode 4. Tuesday we will be episode 4 of Mandalorian.
Got it.
Tuesday we will be doing episode 8, The Last Jedi.
That'll be fun.
Friday we will be doing Mandalorian episode 5.
Wow.
So yeah, it's gonna be fun.
But I'm doing it with Mandalorian.
Hey, did you know that Andrew Dice Clay's daughter is Bryce Clay Howard?
Until next time.
May the force be with you.
Such is the code.
Such is our